Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here in this workshop today. I'm really sorry I can't be with you in person, but hopefully over the next 10 or 15 minutes, I'll be able to give you a flavour of what we're doing in Cork as part of the Cork Food Policy Council to create a healthier and more sustainable food system for the city of Cork. I would like to start by acknowledging my colleagues, Denise Cahill, Marie Young, Marion O'Reilly, and the wider members of the Cork Food Policy Council. So I don't need to highlight to anybody here how complex our food system is and that there is a growing disconnect between what we produce and what we eat, whilst also acknowledging that urban cities host over half of the world's population, with a projection of increasing further in the foreseeable future. In the context of a rapidly urbanizing world, the global food system challenges have become serious challenges for our cities. And thus, however, cities, while facing these challenges, have the potential to play a key role in addressing these challenges for their own populations or for the global community. So I'm going to flag how, in Cork, we are trying to and working towards addressing some of these challenges across the city. And I suppose indeed, and in this regard, the UN Sustainable Development Goals blueprints highlights the need to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient and sustainable. In this regard, given that the Irish food system, or the global food system, but also the Irish food system, is becoming more and more unsustainable and less fit for purpose, we need to start reimagining the food system and the Irish food system to recognise that food can be part of a major civic renewal offering a multitude of social, economic and environmental benefits. Also recognising that food serves to connect many important aspects of our lives. To confront many of the challenges posed by our food system, across the world, many urban cities and local governments have developed food policies. In Ireland, recently in Dublin, the Edible Dublin food strategy has gone out for public consultation, while in Cork, through the work of the Cork Food Policy Council, we are currently developing and working towards developing a strategy for the city. To do this, though, however, we need to recognise that we're working in a complex area, and up to now, in many cases, we've been working in silos and within our professional boundaries. However, dealing with complex issues from separate silos doesn't work. It creates barriers, it creates conflict, and also it increases inefficiencies. So we need to step outside our boundaries. We need to step outside our professional areas of comfort and work together and collaboratively and in partnership to address many of our complex adaptive challenges. And we need to be more like honeybees, working together towards a common goal. But we need to recognise that to work towards these common goals and work together across disciplines, we also need to find that common language, and recognizing that human and planetary health are two sides of the one coin, and that working together with a common language can have mutual benefits. And we do need to find that language that will help us towards those mutual benefits. So for the rest of this presentation, I'm going to focus on work in Cork City, particularly the work of the Cork Food Policy Council with the Cork Healthy Cities and Green Spaces for Health, and how we're working together collaboratively and in partnership towards that common language for healthy and sustainable foods across the city. So what is the Cork Food Policy Council? It was established in 2013 as an interagency structure, and it seeks to influence local food policy to follow best practice in developing a healthy, sustainable and resilient food system It's doing this by supporting new partnerships and nurturing existing partnerships in Cork between statutory, community and voluntary groups, but also between educational institutions and businesses to promote knowledge, skills and experience around food. So the Cork Food Policy Council works in an advocacy role and advocates for innovative community food initiatives that seek improvements in the food system, improving equitable access to quality food for all in our societies and for all communities across the city. And I'll give examples of some of these initiatives in the coming slides. The work of the Cork Food Policy Council is structured around 5 core values, and that is promoting health and well-being for all, so equitable health and well-being for all, harnessing a thriving local economy, empowering resilient food-friendly communities, promoting lifelong learning, and reducing the environmental footprint of the food we produce in the city. So looking at some of the activities that we have been involved with over the last 10 years of our existence, and I suppose to flag that none of these activities would have been and initiatives would have been possible without the collaborative partnership approach across and with the different agencies, entities and communities across the city. So one of the first major initiatives the Cork Food Policy Council undertook, and this was before my time with the Cork Food Policy Council, was to feed the city. So there were 5,000 bowls of curry prepared and fed to people of the city on the city streets in a festival format in Feeding the City. So we had sourced over 1 ton of waste vegetables, so vegetables that were perfectly edible and perfectly fine, but were, maybe didn't look as they as people thought they should look. The vegetables were prepped by over 100 students in one of the local catering colleges, and the event was accompanied, it was a real community-based event with cookery demonstrations, talks, stands, children's entertainment, along with successful media campaign, highlighting, the importance of reducing food waste and what can be done with very edible, very perfectly good food that might otherwise end up in waste. Cork Food Harvest Festival is a celebration of celebrating the wealth of community food growing initiatives across the city, and it's both a schedule of free events, tours, workshops, talks, demonstrations, again across the city. And the initiatives provide opportunities for the public to come and learn about food, how to grow it, how to cook it, how to share it, and how to enjoy it. And this infographic just demonstrates the impact of this Cork Food Harvest Festival, and the reach it has with the different community groups, and the involvement. And, key to the success of this Food Harvest Festival is the collaborative approach between the community groups, the Health Service Executive, the City Council, and many, many more across the city. Cork Food Policy Council also hosts the Sustainable and Healthy Food Awards, and this is acknowledging, encouraging and rewarding sustainable food practitioners in Cork City and Council. And these are from private businesses, non-profit organisations, educational bodies across the city, recognising and rewarding those who go the extra mile to create healthy and sustainable food and food environments in the city. The Green Spaces for Health is a citywide community-led initiative, and through the Green Spaces for Health works with maintaining existing green spaces in the city, seeking out new greening opportunities and supporting community growing projects and community gardens across the city. So you can see here this was the establishment of a new community garden in one of the city housing estates. This is our Lord Mayor with some of the the beehives that are on top of one of the roofs of one of the colleges in the city. This is a map of all our community gardens and allotments across the city, which have been supported by the Cork Food Policy Council and our Green Spaces for Health and Cork Healthy Cities. And this is a fun cookery book for young chefs, which was developed in one of those community gardens. It was in the Clashdove Toker Community Garden, and it's a beautifully illustrated book by one of the members of that community garden. This is just highlighting and summarising all of the Healthy Ireland funded projects between 2019 and 21 across the city. These are some of the established community gardens in estates using raised beds and the no-dig methods, the communities, the students, the Green Spaces for Health, our community organisations. This is depicting a tree audit that was conducted in the city of all of the trees in the city and led to the development of a tree trail, looking at and identifying the different trees at an amenity in the city. So we've also developed a Cork food map, and it was the first step in describing the food environment across the city. It's an inventory of the types and locations of food businesses across the city, and we overlaid the food map with the city profile, which was developed by the Cork Healthy Cities group. And it gives, we can look at evidence of exposure of different food environments and different food access to different food establishments across the city. One example was we looked at primary schools, where primary schools were located, and the location of, for example, fast food outlets. And we saw 1 in 3 primary schools were within walking distance of a fast food chain. So our priorities for the Cork Food Policy Council in the coming year is working collaboratively and in partnership with groups across the city to develop our food policy, our food strategy for the city, and to implement that strategy. And we're currently identifying who those key stakeholders are, doing a mapping exercise and looking at existing policy actions across the different policies and strategies from Cork City Council. This work is in collaboration with, the Cork City Council, the Health Service Executive, and our academic partners in University College Cork, in collaboration with the FEAST 2030 project and a new project that is going to begin next year, a Food Path 2024. It's a European project, and I know many of the partners for Food Path are here in the workshop today. A really exciting initiative that we're really ecstatic about with the Cork Food Policy Council is the development or exploring the feasibility of the Cork Sustainable Food Innovation Hub. So in partnership with the Cork City Council and a farmer on the north side of Cork City, who is willing to work with us and come on board with us and is interested in leasing, converting his land to an organic farm, and interested in leasing plots of land to local food growers, with the idea of creating short food supply chains, short, accessible, affordable food supply chains to supply food to the food markets and the food system of the city. So this Cork City Council have provided funding for. We're currently looking at the feasibility in the different models. So it's a really exciting development. So one to watch, and one that I hope I will be able to talk to you about in the future, and further to develop the community food growing across the city in collaboration with other European initiatives, and to suss out other European fundings, collaborations and partnerships. So almost finished. Just the key learnings from the 10 years of our Cork Food Policy Council is that food growing is really a lever for health promotion and climate action across the city, and that we have seen that grassroots action has influenced policy in Cork. And that food growing does build community, and it builds community resilience, it builds community cohesion, and that food growing and building local public policy, is possible. So we have allocation of public spaces now from Cork City Council for community food growing. We have a commitment for the establishment of a sustainable food policy and climate mitigation and action, and also in that community food growing does provide supportive environments for available, affordable and accessible food for all. So just some concluding thoughts that our business as usual is no longer an option in terms of how we produce and consume food. And while Big Food has clear ideas of its corporate future, but if we believe that access to nutrition, balanced and affordable diet is the right of all and is key to good health, if we believe the challenges of climate change and environmental degradation require changes in production and consumption practices, and if we believe a fit-for-purpose food system in Ireland must be shaped by citizens, then together we can create conditions for a model of creating a healthy and sustainable food system for Cork City and the wider regions. So with that, I will leave you and thank you for listening and taking the time to listen to me. If you do have any questions on the Cork Food Policy Council or any of our work, you can explore our website or contact me on j.harrington@ucc.ie. Thank you.